A lot of controversy right now as to how that committee is doing, specifically when it comes to investigating the Russia scandal. Your home state colleague, Dianne Feinstein, unilaterally releasing a transcript of a witness before the committee. The committee chairman, Senator Grassley, going ahead without the committee making his own criminal referral to the Justice Department associated with this scandal. Watching the work of that committee, which has this incredibly important remit, it kind of feels like the wheels are coming off. Just as an observer, that's how it seems to me. Now that you are joining this committee, can you tell us whether you think they are doing a good job investigating the Russia scandal and how you plan to approach it?
Well, Rachel, I'm also on the Senate Intelligence Committee, and we are conducting an investigation of Russia's interference in the election of the President of the United States. And so I can speak in a more informed way about that because I'm now just 1 week on the Judiciary Committee. But I will say, you mentioned Senator Feinstein. I really applaud her courage. As you probably know, she took a lot of heat for what she did, but she is a tough, strong public servant who made, I think, the right decision, which is to bring transparency to a process that otherwise has been opaque. And to that extent, her work as ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, I think, was good work. And the bottom line is that we need to go where the facts take us. We need to get to the end of this. And we have got to make sure that Bob Mueller stays in place and that his authority is not interfered with and not impaired in any way, shape, or form. Bob Mueller is doing, I think, an outstanding job of being a professional and pursuing the facts. And I know they will lead him to wherever they should. And so that's how I feel about it overall. But, you know, let's also remember that, Rachel, I think it's important to bifurcate the issue in some ways, in that there is what happened, and we have to get to the bottom of it and find out what happened in terms of the past, and in particular around the election in 2016. But we also need to figure out what's going on currently and also look at all of this evidence with a mind to what's going to happen in the future. And by that, I mean also understanding that we're not out of the clear in terms of 2018 election cycle. I don't believe we are. I think that Russia and probably other adversarial countries taking Russia's cue are going to do again what they have already done. And so we have to be vigilant in figuring out what happened also so we can prevent this going forward, and in particular around the 2018 election cycle.
You mentioned protecting Robert Mueller and making sure that he's allowed to do his work. I wonder if there have been bipartisan conversations among senators about sort of having a go bag, being ready to go, having a plan in case the president makes some sort of dramatic action to try to end the Mueller investigation through any of the means he might try to do that. Are those conversations happening in terms of how you would respond? And if those are happening, are they bipartisan?
I have been engaged in bipartisan conversations around a mutual agreement about the integrity of Bob Mueller and his investigation. And, you know, I can't speculate, and most of us don't want to speculate about the possibility of anyone firing Bob Mueller. But if that happens, I think there will be severe consequence. And certainly I will be calling for severe consequence.
I said I only have 2 questions for you. I lied.
Okay.
A lot of people, there's another one, I'm sorry. A lot of people are talking about you running for president in 2020, and I bet that's annoying for you to be asked about it constantly. So, sorry. If you are going to think about it, when is the right time to start thinking about it and talking to people about whether that's a good idea?
And I'm being totally honest and direct with you, Rachel. Right now, I am completely focused on what's in front of me. And back to the beginning of our conversation, DACA. We have every day 122 of these kids who are losing their status. Since the decision was made and announced on September 5th of last year, over 15,000 of these kids have lost their status, which means they are afraid that at any moment someone's going to take them. They cannot work now because they've also lost their authority to work when they lose their status. And we've got to pay attention to this. We have a deadline coming up of January 19th, which is just days from now. And as far as I'm concerned, everyone should be focused on that, because a day in the life of these kids is a really long time. And focusing on what's out there instead of what's an urgent matter in front of us today, I think is I'll speak for myself, it would be a fool's errand.
That is a good answer to that question. California Senator Kamala Harris.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your work. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Much more ahead tonight. including, the reason I complimented her on that answer is because everybody in politics who gets asked, who's in a position, who's lucky enough and fortunate enough and has done their job well enough to be in a position where they're constantly getting asked about 2020, there is a skill to answering that question without talking about 2020, without talking about the presidential election, and bringing it back to talk about something that you are trying to get done right now is the right way to do that. Whatever it is that you are working on as a politician in any part of our system, if you know you're going to ask that question, turning it around to what you're working on right now, you should all do that, all you guys. I'm just saying. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.